Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Walk-Ins Welcome, where we are both newly and freshly vacationed. Me 2 weeks ago, Michael last week.
Came back today.
Came back today.
Yeah.
So we thought we would do a podcast on vacationing. Now, not our vacation, but how to take a vacation, because I know you're not doing it and actually getting the most out of your vacations, or at least for the most part.
Well, and I think you'll find on any type of social media trend of any sort that they talk about how, like, being a business owner or whatever, they never really go on vacation, and they just are always engaged with their business, even when they're sitting at the beach drinking a margarita. They're in their phone trying to solve a problem. And our argument to you, to the audience that sees that, saying that is a choice.
That's right.
Now, if you are a brand new company that's like less than a year old, I get it.
Right.
But if you're like 2, 3, 4, 5+ years, that should not be your standard in your vacation life, because I think we all know this, but we all forget about it. You should always put your family over your business or your work or whatever, your career, because if you just focus on the career and ignore your family, the family goes away.
Yeah, the family's going to go away in the form of divorce or missed opportunities or
and all of a sudden,
regret.
You're watching your kid grow up, but you're not. You're watching it through your spouse watching them or whatever. And I think there's that, and vacation's part of that mix. Like, there's a big part of vacation. Yes, it's about taking time off, but it's also spending focused, dedicated time with your family, which is probably why you're like, oh, I'm ready to come back. Come back to work.
Well, I know I've put out 5 pages of notes here of things that we are going to talk about.
Yeah.
But I want to back up just a little bit. I read a book a long time ago now, but it is a staple. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And
that's a classic. Yeah.
Yeah. And he has what's called the cash flow quadrant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so if you can imagine a box with 4 sections in it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You have employed, you have self-employed under that. Okay. So employed, self-employed, business owner, and then investor.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me do that real quick. Everybody knows employee trades hours for dollars.
Yep.
Self-employed trades hours for dollars for themselves.
Yep.
Most urgent care clinic owners and doctors live there. Most, not all, but most. Okay. Then you have one of our good friends, Dr. Junkins. He is a business owner. Yes, he's a doctor, but he has multiple locations, and he has clinic directors and clinicians that are in each one of those.
And
right?
he has more than one business.
And he's got my favorite jet. two of them, I might add. But that being said, though, he is a business owner. That set of urgent cares runs without him. So he is no longer trading hours for dollars. He owns the system that's creating that.
And he's part of what he has to be part of.
Correct. And then there's the investment side, which is trading dollars for dollars.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So that's putting your money to work for you without you having to do anything. Most people call that passive income. I want to talk about 2 types of people. The self-employed, which is what most doctors are. They're self-employed, right?
Yes. That first step into business owner.
Correct.
Toward it.
And we're going to address a lot of that, because you have to be there docking if you, doctor got to dock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If your clinic has to close because you're on vacation,
yes,
that's self-employed.
Correct.
Because the clinic can't stand on one leg without you being there to hold.
And what I want to do is bridge the gap today between the self-employed and the business owner, because I think you can be self-employed and set things up in a way where you can leave the company for a week or 2 or whatever, and it operate without you. You just have to be intentional. So our opening question is simply, when was the last time you took a vacation and didn't check your cell phone?
Yes.
Think about that for a second.
Yeah. I mean, that is, for me, I'm well removed from this question, right? Like, I used to be, probably about 5 years ago, where I'm like, I can't look at this thing if I'm on, right? Like, there's a moment I don't want to look at it. Like, when I came off my vacation this past time, I was not bothered.
Yeah.
By design. I was not bothered. My notifications related to work were all disabled. They're still disabled. Actually, I don't even try. Since the vacation before this one, I have yet to re-enable my notifications on my phone, because what's the point? Honestly, when I'm here, I'm available. When I'm not here, I'm not available.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not 100% sure you need those notifications turned on.
I haven't had them on a year.
That's right. And so some of our listeners are probably squirming in their cars right now going, I can't even imagine not being able to be reached.
I've been there.
Yeah.
You've been there.
I've been there for sure.
And it's
I wasn't when I went to Arizona. You weren't when you went to DC.
Yeah, like it was 100%. I get that mindset because you've convinced yourself that this company needs, and maybe it does at a certain time, but at some point you gotta say, this company doesn't have to have me to operate. But if you don't commit to that mindset, which is hard if you're a doctor that's doing all, like, I get that, but there should be a push.
That's right.
To something different. So yeah, I mean, I get the idea of like, did it make you nervous just hearing the thought of your phone is inaccessible for a week?
Right.
Like you can't pick it up.
Well, during this podcast specifically, we want to talk about well, first of all, what are the bottlenecks that are keeping you locked in, right? And then what are some things that you can do to set yourself up to be able to go and leave it and then come back refreshed? Because let me tell you, as a business owner to business owner, leader to leader, you need this more than you think you need this.
Yes.
I get it. I'm a business owner. I like being plugged in. I don't want to miss a thing. But you know what? My team, when I do that, and by the way, your team, when you do that, they're not getting the best version of your leadership. All right. So the core idea here is, and Michael, really, I learned this from you. I hadn't really thought about this, but you kind of taught it to me. And that is, when you leave, we'll reveal the weaknesses in your company.
100%.
You're not going to find them while you're there because you're brushing them under the rug, you're solving problems or whatever. But when you leave, you know what you got.
Yeah. And I ultimately learned that mindset from my dad, where he would force certain, I was like, force is a strong word, highly encourage certain employees to take 2-week vacations so they can see where the problems are. Also, it helps reveal fraud and whatever.
Especially in banking, yeah.
Especially in banking, because in the world, any fraud scheme can't hold itself for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like something's going to fall apart because the person's not there to keep the ball off the plates moving.
Hopefully you're not dealing with fraud in your
hopefully you're not. But if you're suspecting, side note, if you're suspecting fraud or any type
2-week free vacation,
honestly, you go to that employee that you're like really questioning, you say, I'm going to give you 2 free weeks. I'll see you. And if they freak out, and then something pops up within like 10 days, you know why.
Yeah. Let me be very clear with you, person. You're not coming back into this office for 2 weeks and I'm cutting out your access because I need you to rest up.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but going back to the idea of,
which brings us to the very first point, by the way.
That's funny. Exactly. Don't trust your team.
Yeah.
But it goes back to this idea where if you're curious, is my business sustainable without me, or is there a key person? I always say I don't like being called Superman or the secret sauce. We were talking about this morning. I don't like being called that. If you have anybody on your team that's called that, that should be your first person. Hey, you should need to go take a vacation,
right?
Because you want to see what happens. Because they may take a permanent vacation, get run over by a school bus type thing.
So this sounded offensive because Hannah asked me the question, "Hey, are you going to miss Michael when he's gone?" I'm like, that wasn't the point. I told her, I was like, no, actually, I need Michael to leave.
Yeah,
I need Michael to leave. I need to know. Well, there's a point in the business where the business owner has somebody else that really steps in and becomes the face of the company, or at least the internal face of the company, right? Which is what you've become here.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know, with you out of the office, what kind of crap was I going to get? Because you stepped in for me to be able to become the business owner. Right. You're the chief operating officer of the company. You stepped in for me to be able to have the freedom. One, I'm still big things, new things, and broken things. We're not going to spend time on that today, but that's my vision and goal for my place. But as you step in, well, I needed you to go away. So when Hannah asked me that, I was like, no, I'm actually really excited for Michael to be on vacation because I want to know, where are we exposed?
Yeah.
Where are we exposed?
Yeah. Where am I being, because they're like my own internal issues is that I will just figure, if there's a problem, I just figure out and get it done and move forward. I don't really talk about it.
Right.
Just, that's just part of what we're doing.
That's right.
And that's a problem.
Right. Exactly.
So, but yeah.
And, the good news is when I step away, nothing falls apart.
Yeah.
And what's even better news is when you step away, nothing fell apart.
No, we have a great team.
Yeah. We have an amazing team that we've been intentional about to grow, to train. But you may not be able to relax, listener, clinic owner. Yeah, I'm talking to you. You're probably not relaxing because you don't trust your team. And it's not because they're not trustworthy, right? It's because maybe they're unclear on the defined expectations of what they should be doing with you out.
The best way to say it is that you've never handed them the keys to the car.
Yeah.
You've always been the driver of the car, and they've always been a passenger. You never say, "Can you drive for a while?" Because you just don't know. Well, I don't trust it. Well, cool. You need to take them to a parking lot, let them drive around and test it out. What does that look like for you? Don't show up for 2 or 3 days. Almost basically I put air quotes, get sick for a couple of days.
That's right.
And then see what happens and come right back and all this fun stuff. And then, like we said, then we slowly build up to that longer vacation. But no, the trust factor is real because, like you were saying, if you've just never set the expectations or they've never been exposed to how things work beyond what they're doing, it's hard to trust.
Or you've never given them the authority to make a decision.
Yeah. The authority.
Think about that for a second. Yeah. Now, again, not everybody needs to have that authority, but you should have 1 or 2 or 3 people that you trust to be, you know what, I understand how Nick, I understand how Michael thinks, I understand how the doctor thinks, and I've been empowered. She has empowered me. Whoever has empowered me to make these kind of decisions. Now, they're not going around flaunting and flexing. That's not the point. But to be able to make a decision without you there because they understand how you think, you've done a good job of setting that up. Yep. The other thing here, Michael, and this is really what I wanted to look for, was that last bullet point. Everyone has been trained to ask the owner. Well, they've stopped asking me, but they've started asking you. And I really wanted to know, how dependent are they on you?
Yeah.
Right. But you and I have had a lot of conversations around this. I was like, we got to stop letting people live in your space, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So here's the questions, like, who handles staffing issues? Who handles patient complaints? Who handles operational emergencies, right? If that answer is always you have a problem.
Yeah, and then it becomes,
and you're never going to go on vacation.
Who's your backup?
Yeah.
You know, following those questions, like, who would you, in your head right now, who would I hand that to? And it's probably most likely, depending on the size of your clinic, it's probably one key person you're thinking about that could probably do most of this. You just never given them the authority to do it.
And they're probably starving for it.
Yeah, and they're probably like looking for it because they're going to go somewhere else because you're not giving them that extra. Because sometimes giving them authority is far greater than giving them a raise.
Right.
Because there's a pride that goes with it, but also just the idea like, hey, I trust you and I want to take care of you. And then it comes back to that, because then there's like, well, God, they trust me. I'm going to do my best I can. So just kind of think through, like, how many things that you are the only person that does it? Great. Who comes to mind that could do it all for you? And if you don't have anybody in your mind, that's a great starting point, saying, I need to figure this out. And you may not have anybody on staff that's like, I can't. No, I can't trust those people. Great. Yeah. You need to find that person
and probably fire them if you don't trust them. Now, it's one thing. It's one thing to be earning your way up, and you gotta earn that position of leadership and decision making. But if you know there's no way I would ever let that person do anything, you probably need.
Like, why is that person there?
Exactly,
and you probably know why.
Thing number 2, and another reason you're having a hard time leaving and taking a vacation, like a real restful vacation, is because everything lives in your head.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you haven't documented anything. You don't have any playbooks on how to run a phone call, much less get the payers involved. Or maybe you do, but I'm talking to the ones who don't. There's no way for you to escalate a situation. We just asked, like, what do you do if there's a customer complaint or, something like that?
Yeah. And there's elements too, like, obviously in the medical world, like, there are things that have to be going through a certain person. I get that. But the idea of, you can't be the everything. Or like we were saying earlier, how do we do this? Well, you should know how to do that. Do you have a process written? No, I don't have a process written down. You should know how to do it. I know how to do it. And like, no, not the same.
I've fallen into that trap, by the way.
Michael here. I know that you are listening to this podcast because you're trying to improve your urgent care or you're considering to start one. Well, this podcast is brought to you by Patient Care Marketing Pros, which is the agency side of this podcast. Our goal is to increase your patient volume. Either you're a startup and you don't have a patient yet and you're trying to get that all worked out, we're there to help. Or you've been around for years and have tons of locations, and you have some locations that are doing really well, and then you have some that just simply are not. We'd love to take on those locations that are not, and we can improve their patient volume and get you guys to grow and show those profit numbers that you do care about. Love to talk to you more about that. PatientCareMarketingPros.com is where to go. And then you can schedule time with us, and then we'll see how we can help you, if it makes sense, and what to do next.
By the way,
Well, and I think what the challenge a lot of people come up with, well, it's always changing. Like, okay, maybe 10 to 15% of it's changing, but probably the core of it hasn't changed. Now I remember talking to you about Facebook ads, and that was something that you're like, I can't get this up. Like, I won't give it up. And like, well, you're gonna have to kind of give it up. And then it's like, well, they don't know the intuition that I have of, well, where'd you get the intuition from? Facebook wasn't real when you were born.
That's true.
It was built in over years of doing stuff. And that's the same thing for anybody. If you have somebody that's been with you from like day one and you're like 5 years into your business, they probably can think just like you. You just haven't given them a chance to do that yet.
Well, I will tell you, the minute I was able to give up Facebook ads is when Philip came on board with us. He was the only one that up until that point.
Yeah.
We've got it now all over the team, which is fantastic. But up until that point, Philip was the only one who had the intuition to look at an ad and go, that ain't working.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
why though? Why is he the only one who can look at an ad and go, oh, that's not working? When everybody else before then would just let it go indefinitely and burn off our clients' money. Now, for those listening, that was a long time ago in a galaxy far away. We are not that anymore. But it used to frustrate the fire out of me. I was like, I don't understand how you can't look at that and see that there's no conversions on it and don't do anything about it. Like, it escapes me.
Yeah, exactly. But so what you're talking about, like that intuition is more of the common sense gets applied, and then this could make on the surface, it's technically okay at this very moment, but it could make a huge negative impact a week from now or 2 weeks from now or whatever.
That's right.
And so like, that's who you're identifying in your clinic of saying they see like the impact of this decision and what it can do beyond what's just in front of them. And that's the type of person you want to be part of those decisions because they're thinking beyond their little role, right?
I like to think of it this way. Who is an upstream thinker?
Okay.
Right? They don't get involved when the problem happens. They can foresee a problem.
Yeah.
That's upstream.
Yep.
Nobody gets praise and worship over that. Everybody gets praised for, I heard it described this way. Hey, there's dead babies floating down the river. And you're rescuing these babies out of the river and you're being praised and you're awesome. You saved these babies, but nobody goes, why are there babies up in there in the river jumping in the river? Let's go fix that.
Well, let's go fix what's causing this problem.
Exactly. Like nobody gets the praise for preventing the babies from ever getting in the river in the first place. Yep. So who's your upstream problem solver?
Yeah.
They can see it before. Anyway, you get that's and Michael, you're an upstream thinker.
Yeah.
Devin is an upstream thinker. Unfortunately, because of the nature of his role, he's fixing problems more than he's upstreaming.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress.
But the idea of an upstream thinker is simply they are looking beyond the immediate problem and looking more toward the source and saying, well, how can we do this differently? Or why do we keep doing it the same way? How can we make this more effective, better for the company, better for the individual, better for the patient? Kind of thinking beyond a path, because there are a lot of people that just think in their little world, right? They're in their little path they walk down and they like you said, they trade their hours for money,
right? And
they go home,
right?
Well, the ones that go into management roles, leadership roles, they're thinking about, how does this affect everybody?
Right.
And can I make it better for everyone? Like we were joking out this morning, updating our intake form, and I was like, this thing is, I looked at it, like September 2022 when I built this. I'm glad it lasted 4 years.
Yeah, but you had solved an upstream problem in 2022.
Yeah, and it just hung out until today.
When's the last time you were celebrated for that?
Yeah, nobody cares, right?
Yeah, nobody cares because it was upstream. You solved the problem before it was a problem.
Usually, sometimes the best a problem being solved is where it becomes second nature to the company, where they're like, this feels weird if we don't have this already solved a certain way. But no, that was for real this morning.
Michael, this is a good one for you to take, number 3 here.
Number 3. Identity is tied to being needed. Yeah. So
you've seen that.
I've seen it. I felt it.
I think for a minute, maybe I had been that, but I don't think it was there for very long.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's this mindset, if I'm not needed, why am I here?
I struggle with that. Just like, honestly speaking, I mean this sincerely, the company could probably run without me for an extended amount of time.
A couple of years.
You see what I'm saying, though, right?
But like there's this, what you don't see, it's hard to tell. There's an energy that you have.
Sure.
And then also we can't just say this is the way we do things all the time, which I'm more leaning to that. Like, let's do what we do well.
Right.
And I don't want to reinvent the wheel very often.
Hey, straight yin and yang, man. That's how we operate.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
genuinely believe and pray and hope that you have that in your clinic.
Yeah.
A yin yang relationship.
Oh, you need it. And it's
You need
we
it.
see them all the
Yeah.
time.
Michael. I want to tell you this in the most sincere and loving way. Michael fact checks me all the time. But I need that.
And sometimes I'm completely wrong.
But I need that. That's the point I'm trying to make is like if something's coming out of my mouth, well, first of all, I would never intentionally mislead or lie or say something, bloviated just for the sake of saying it.
Bloviated?
It's a good word. Isn't it? Maybe bloated would be a better word.
Bloviated.
Just, like,
Is that real?
Yeah.
Fact check.
You're seeing it happen in real time, people. I hope you're enjoying this.
None of this is scripted.
This is so normal. Anyway, I don't want to intentionally mislead or say stupid crap. But as part of my personality, I've learned this. I have what's called a rainmaker personality, which means I can close deals. I can get people what they need.
You can see opportunity where people don't.
I can. But I know this is PG, so cover your little ears. But it even says, like, you can come across, it's not that you are this, but you can come across as a bullshitter.
Yeah.
I can come across it. I don't want to be that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not intentionally ever being that, but I use fun words. I like to talk with my
energy. Right.
Energy is exactly what you just called it.
Yeah.
So to some personalities, they're like, that dude is so full of crap. I'm really not. Really not. But I can see how I come across that way. So I really spend a lot of energy trying to do that. And this has nothing to do with vacation right now. But identities can be tied to the business in an unhealthy way.
Right. And so, because I've heard it many times before where people say, well, if we're right now, like we've hired somebody that are now being managed by somebody who's never managed before. And there was that question of, well, if I bring on this person, I don't have to do as much. Am I being overpaid? Like, no, it's quite the opposite.
Yep.
Because we care about the outcome, not necessarily how all the work got done to get there per se. And that goes back to where, like, well, if I'm not grinding from 9 to 5, 8 or 6 a.m. to 4 p.m., whatever those numbers are, then I'm not worth anything, right? And then I still struggle with this mindset of it's okay that a lot of people accomplish something that you were tied to, but you may have technically not done the work, but the work got done.
Right.
And there's a I feel like, is that a good or bad thing? But ultimately it's a good thing because also recognize even in today's intake thing where y'all had already had a pre-meeting, all of us, like you were already like 90% there. And then I hop in and say, hey, I think you're having a misunderstanding what this is. Well, you're right.
I'm so glad you clarified that too. I was like, I don't know how that wasn't obvious, but this is why you have people.
But that was like classic. I technically haven't done a thing. I just saw one thing and said something and moved on, and it actually helped finish up the meeting.
That's right.
But
thanks for that.
Yeah, exactly. But that goes back to why is this a hard thing to comprehend? Because I think our culture, like the American culture especially, work hard, and you'll get rewarded for it. If you don't work hard, you're not going to get rewarded for it.
Lies.
Yeah, and it's not true. Like, yes, there's a mindset. Yeah, putting the extra hours, all the things. I was even when I was on vacation, we went camping, and one of our neighbors, he was an 87-year-old guy. He was retired from construction and remodeling, and we were talking about the camper he had bought in 1995. Still uses it today, 30 years later.
I love that.
It's a pretty cool little camper, and but he was talking about, I would just. I was working part-time at 40 hours a week. I'm like, okay. He said full-time was like 60 to 70. I'm like, and he admitted, this is the 87-year-old. He admitted, he's like, I'd never spent that much time with my family and go on the trips that I'm going on now. And I recognize that I'm running out of time.
You can hear the regret in that conversation.
Yeah. Like you could, and this guy he and his wife are awesome. Yeah. Like just super cool people. Like they became like our friends. They loved Addie. I mean, it was just
Addie's hard not to love.
And like it was funny when they invited us because this camper is one of those that sits on the back of a truck bed. Mm-hmm. So it's super trippy. You walk in because like, why does this feel twice the size of a truck? And but they're sitting there you want to check out our camper? Like, yeah, let's check it out. And we're all standing in there, and like Addie runs and jumps onto their bed. I think this is funny. But like you
see the dust,
just about, because this thing is so old, but it works. Works fine. Though, just looks old. But just hearing that, because these were just like wonderful people, but you could hear like, I've been in construction all this time, and it was so bad. This sounds terrible. It was so bad when we were leaving. Like, hey, let's get a phone number because they're just nice people. He hands Courtney a business card, but he doesn't even work anymore. But that's all he's got is a business. Here's my business card. And it's just one of those like moments of this is why we vacation and do things now.
Yeah.
Because I may not make it to retirement age and be physically able to do any of this.
Right.
Or like one of us could die in between now and 40 years from now. And it's just like, why losing the opportunity?
Don't.
And
it's not worth it.
And it goes back to the idea of like, we are not here on earth just to simply wake up, work, pay bills, go to bed. That's not the whole point of life. If it was, there would be something different at this point.
Well, up until the 1920s.
Yeah.
19 teens.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, we can go back to that.
This is the whole thing. But it just going back to that need part. Like
that identity.
That like it's important that yes, you've built the business and whatever, but it shouldn't be the business needs me. Like if you've ever said that to your spouse, the business needs me.
I think there's a season where where the business needs you. Your clinic needs you. But what I'm challenging you is to create a clinic where it doesn't need you. Dan Martell in his book Buy Back Your Time makes my favorite quote. Used to be a Mike Tyson quote. Now it's this one. And that is 80% done by somebody else is 100% freaking awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Because you measure outcomes, not inputs all the time. I want to keep going because we could go super long on vacations here. So let's keep going. Vacation readiness score. Let's do this real quick. All right. So can your clinic run without you for a day, a weekend, a week, 2 weeks, a month, indefinitely? If you're going to pick one, day, weekend, week, like what is it for you? Think about that for real.
And I do see if you're a single location urgent care, this is the most difficult thing to look at. Because chances are it's you plus 3 other people. And a multi-location urgent care, honestly, it's bigger.
Yeah.
Technically has more power to allow you to do these
Correct.
things.
Yeah, once you start opening up.
There's we recognize that, and there's also we recognize that majority of our single location urgent cares become multi-location within like 2 years.
Right.
Pretty quick. So tell yourself 1 day, 1 weekend, a week, 2 weeks, indefinitely. How many yeses did you just say in your head? Did you say any? Because if you didn't, or you stop after the first one, you have a problem.
Exactly. All right, here's some more evaluation here. Let's just go by kind of department. Staffing. Does everyone call out? Does it all come to you? Every call out, every issue, every problem? Mm-hmm. Operations. Have you empowered your managers to make decisions?
Yeah, you're making your managers actual like leader.
Yeah. Or are you requiring your own stamp of approval on every decision made? All right. Finances. Can someone else review the KPIs and performance? Do you have somebody you trust? Michael, you look at our numbers in the company way more than I look at the numbers in the company. Mm-hmm. Right. Of course, operating officer. Right. But at the same time, when I need to get involved, I will. But better way to say this is, do you trust someone to review the KPIs and performance?
Like, do you trust someone to throw a red flag saying, hey, we're seeing this, we need to make a correction.
Right.
Or, hey, don't buy that yet.
Right. So patient complaints, is there a process or does anything escalate to a certain owner of the company? Like does patient complaints and problems, does that go to a point person? Are you that point person? And then finally here, marketing, does patient volume come into the clinic whether you're there or not? Does it require you? This is the litmus test on whether or not you're going to go and have a vacation or whether you're not going to do work in a different location. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I think too, so there are really fun moments where when the owner is not involved with the daily and they see their clinic or their business increase when they're not there.
Right.
You had a somewhat of a similar situation where you went on vacation or went away earlier this year, and we had fired and hired a new person while you were gone.
That's right.
You're like, hello, new person.
Yeah. And goodbye, old person.
Yeah,
that I didn't even get to say bye to, although I probably wouldn't have anyway. Not for any other reason other than they didn't report to me in any way.
Well, and then the Kumo Spaces thing was funny. It ran out of time. But learn that lesson. But funny. Anyway, but it was that moment where like we just got the ball moving. We all like the leadership side of this business, we all had that mindset. We know what we're trying to accomplish here.
Right.
We're just going to keep moving forward.
Right.
And not just wait. Because the second that someone, this is still real like a pet peeve. If you're just sitting there on your hands waiting for someone to tell you what to do next, it's not the right person.
Right.
It's just not. Like they should be like finding things to do,
Right.
Per se. But yeah.
So, Michael, I think what we need to do for the sake of time is put all of the rest of these bullet points for like the action items, put this into the show notes.
Sure.
So that you can have kind of a swipe and deploy to, hey, check these boxes so that I can go on vacation.
I feel like we should turn this into like a
part 2.
a Manus form.
Yeah.
That grades them. And
Probably
it's like,
could.
Are you vacation ready?
Yeah. Are you vacation? You know what? Don't make me go in and use AI. I bet. But here's the challenge I want to give you. And Michael, for your notes, we'll skip to the end there. Just for time's sake, is go ahead and put a 2-week vacation on your calendar.
Oh yeah, don't make it gray. Don't pencil it in. Make it pen.
Now, if the thought of me telling you just now to put a 2-week vacation on your calendar made you cringe, you're not ready.
No.
So let's go back to the beginning of this episode to the 3 or 4 things that I talked about and go, hey, how do I make myself ready in these areas? Because the point is you only live once, and you better get busy living, or you're just going to be treading mud the rest of your life. And I don't want that for you, especially as a doctor. You're providing incredible value to your communities. It's important. So I know this says schedule out in 6 months, but we're in the summertime. Like, find some time during the summer slump to get out there and take your family somewhere, right?
Yep.
This is the best time when you're not hair on fire during flu season. This is the best time to stress test your clinic on if it can survive without you there,
Yep.
right? So don't do it 6 months out. Make sure it's before the end of August. Right?
Yeah, and so but like the mindset would be looking at next summer. We'll just say like whatever. So in December, Christmas, when you have that one day off already designated because your clinic probably closed on Christmas, maybe say, all right, spouse, let's plan a vacation in this coming summer. Where do you want to go? And it's going to be a full 2 weeks. Maybe it's 7-8 days on vacation and the rest staying at home relaxing from vacation.
Right.
That's where we get that.
That's right.
But that would be a goal, right? Where you set aside time, make sure your spouse or family is involved with this because they'll hold you accountable to it. Because the last thing you don't want to do is say, hey, kids, we're going on a vacation of this. And then it gets up to like, I don't think I can take this. And you go to your kids like, I'm not going. And you're like, well, like do you really want to see your kids' face when they see that? So
No, you do not.
No, you don't. I mean, it's just one of those, you have to, because when you put it on the calendar, you put it on paper, right? When you write something, when you write a goal down, it becomes real. And also, if you put a down payment toward that vacation, whatever it is, it becomes real. Like
book that Airbnb.
Book the non-refundable deposit date. Let's make it happen. Right. You're locked in.
Don't buy the insurance.
Yeah, don't commit.
All right, last 3 things. Build leaders, document your systems, create an accountability.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last thought is really your goal isn't to escape your clinic, right? You should have built a clinic that you enjoy. So we don't want you to escape it, but the goal is to build a clinic that no longer really depends on you.
Yeah.
I get it. You may be a doctor. Like, it may depend on you from that standpoint. But what I'm saying is create a system in place where you can leave effectively without closing your clinic. All right.
Well, and I even think back every time I go on it, because when we do vacations, we do mostly camping trips, and 90% of the people there are old.
Mm-hmm.
They're just old. They're retirement age they all say, we want to do this when we were younger, but we couldn't.
Yeah.
Like, well,
probably a different time. And you also have to look in the context of this, Michael. Like, not everybody owns their own business.
No. I get that. But for those, but that's the other part. An employee.
Let me tell you who has zero issue leaving here without any concern or care in the world about what the crap happens here when they're gone.
Yeah, sure.
Employees.
Yeah.
And I've got some of the best employees in the world.
Yeah.
But they do not give a crap. When they leave this office, they're gone.
But see, that's where my argument comes into play, where a business owner, people don't see it, but a business owner typically takes on more stress, more anxiety, more all the things to get this thing going. Because the reality is, we have almost 20 employees.
Correct.
And so that's 20 lives,
Mm-hmm.
20 families. That becomes like probably 100 people you have a direct impact on, not including our clients. So like there's a part of that goes with it. Well, if you're going to commit to something like that, you might as well reward yourself in the process, because what's the point?
That's so good.
Well, like, what's the point? Like, build a business so you can have some money in the bank and then you can't even spend it?
Why should your employees get carefree vacations and you not?
Yeah. Now, granted, we have some employees that don't believe in carefree vacations, and we have to force some
One
things.
specific, too specific. But I will say for Kimberly, I don't mind calling her out. She's my sister anyway. The last vacation she took, I don't think she gave her up, man. She was gone.
And that's
she
what
went
we-
on the
and
boat, and that's what we wanted.
That's what we wanted.
But it's okay to want this for yourself as well.
Yeah, exactly. But also reward your people accordingly. Like if you go on vacation and then you come back and everything is really good and it gives you confidence going to the next vacation, well, find out why it was good. Oh, it's because we did this. Well, great. Make sure you can reward those people in some way. So I don't know. I just think it's one of those things that people overlook, and they're just convinced that we just have to work until we die, and it's just not entirely true. We do need to work, but it doesn't have to be our lives.
So go on vacation.
Yeah.
All right. Go on vacation from this podcast, and we'll see you on the next one.
There you go.
All right. See you guys.